Hello and welcome to Mile High Reavers. I'm Scott Anderson and today we're going to talk about stability. Maintaining your tank parameters to as stable a level as possible is one of the best things you can do to keep the fish and corals in your tank happy. What you really want to do is have your calcium, alkalinity, pH, temperature, and salinity change as little as possible throughout the day, the week, and the month. So the more stable you can make it, the more you're going to get out of your corals and your fish, and the better everything is going to do. So in my tank, I've done a lot to try to get my parameters as stable as possible. I've added a calcium reactor to maintain calcium and alkalinity levels. I've added a calc reactor to keep my pH stable. And it's been working pretty well, but I thought I could do better. So I went ahead and plumbed up the 2 frag tanks that are sitting on the shelves down there. This added another 120 gallons of water to my system. So, in my opinion, this is a great way to maintain stability. Right now, the frag tanks aren't set up with lights or anything like that, so it's just extra water volume. So, come take a look. Okay, so here's the full tank setup. You can see the 2 tanks on the top. Those are the frag tanks all set up and running. So they work pretty well, I think. Biggest problem I've had with this was evaporation. With those 2 tanks set up, I was going through about 5 gallons a day of top-off water. So you can see those plastic corrugated Mother's Day signs that I cut up and put on there for temporary tops. That's why they're there. Basically the water evaporates, condenses on those, and falls right back in the tank, and the humidity in this room has gone way down. In fact, the humidity was so bad that the water was condensing on my cold water line and basically raining back down. So that was going to be a big problem. I can't have that. So before these guys become frag tanks, I'm going to have to figure out something about the humidity. So a dehumidifier or a humidity controller built in to vent the air outside, something like that. Haven't decided what I'm going to do. But it's a ways off as I don't have enough corals to justify setting up the frag tanks. But the way it all works is the water goes through the pump like it always did. And then I've modded the plumbing up here. So the bottom tank, the bottom valve still sends the water off to the protein skimmer. And then the very top valve sends the water off to the tank above. And the side valve is what's actually sending the water off to the frag tanks. And you can see I've kind of got it valved down. I've got the reflow blowhole pump set at its max level, and that's able to produce like 2,700 gallons per hour, which is way more than I set this water volume than I've set this up to handle. So it's always gonna have to be throttled back. There's just no way around it. But that's okay as long as nobody comes down and turns the valve. It'll never be an issue, and I can't imagine that'll happen since nobody's ever down here. But anyways, the pipe runs along the main drain line and up into the tank, and that's what fills the tank with water. And then I've got my bulkhead here, which diverts the water down and back into the bottom tank. And then out of the bottom I've got a drain that sends the water back to the sump. So I've kind of set it up independent so that it's not necessary to run this with the other one. I had kind of thought about running all of the water from the main return from the display back down, but then it has to be part of the system. It can't be taken offline. So I set it up like this temporarily. I can always change it if I want to. But I think it works pretty well. So that's an extra 120 gallons of water. That's 12 square feet of surface area for each tank. So you can see why I had the evaporation issue. Total here is 36 square feet of water surface area. These two tanks, when it's ready for a frag tank, will be awesome. That'll be 24 square feet of fragging space. I'm loving it. But while we're here, I think I'll give you a little update on how the rest of the equipment's running. The AquaSea protein skimmer always works well. It just rocks. I just cleaned it a little earlier. You can see the gunk that's already starting to build up on the side. Hasn't built the foam head yet, but it will. The Core Life calcium reactor, it's actually working pretty well. You can see the aragonite here. It used to be up here and it's down there. So I've lost about an inch of aragonite, so that's all aragonite that's dissolved away and has become calcium for my tank. The only real problem I'm having with this is that the line to return the water back to the tank clogs. And what I've been doing is just weekly, I've been coming down, unplugging it so that the water is always flowing through. It's just kind of like a preventative maintenance thing I got going on for it. And since I've been doing that, it's been working really well. I am kind of disappointed with Core Life gluing all of this stuff together because that made it a mess, because you do have to clear these lines. That's the biggest problem with this calcium reactor, is the lines clogged. Otherwise, it does work pretty darn well. The Milwaukee controller and dual pressure regulator are both stellar, no issues with them, along with the pH probe is just great. I've had no issues with any of it. It's just all been bang on perfect. The only thing I've had issue with is the bulk reef supply biopellet reactor, and I know it's kind of dark, so it might be kind of hard to see, but basically the inlet and the outlets are basically slotted to allow water to flow through, and they're really, really narrow slots, and they clog up. So I had to go through and kind of clean it and clean it and clean it, and after months of cleaning it and having it clogged 2 or 3 days later, I ended up just going through and breaking a couple, or trying to spread those out a little bit. I ended up breaking a couple of the slots in there, but the water's flowing now. So I'm not real happy with it. Supposedly Bulk Reef Supply has fixed it. Berto from Berto's Reef has had the same problem, and he has actually contacted Bulk Reef Supply. They claim the problem's fixed now. So hopefully it is. Otherwise, I like the reactor. Alright, so I'm going to leave you with a full shot of my system so you can kind of see everything that's going on down here. I really do believe that adding all of this water is going to give me a lot more stability in my system. I mean, having 120 gallons of water means that it's going to be really difficult for anything that happens in my tank to have a huge effect on any of the parameters. So that should work. The unfortunate part is, to get here, I had to create a lot of instability in my system, because I basically introduced 120 gallons of freshly mixed salt water into my system. So a little different pH, a little different temperature, a little bit different everything. So the system's still currently stabilizing, but I think it's going to end up working out really well. So I hope you like my setup. If you do, go ahead and hit the like button. I hope you like my videos, and go ahead and subscribe if you like what I do. There'll definitely be more videos to come. Thanks for watching. Bye.